And the question is, how empowering is the food bank approach? Because a few years ago, when some of us, including the unions, the churches, were proposing a basic income grant, we were told it would make people dependent and lazy. And our well-considered view at that time was that the bill empowers people. It gives them the choice about what to eat, or where to sleep, and where to go to school, for instance. It even empowered people enough to start small businesses that are actually running as we speak today. We do think that the food bank is disempowering. It reduces people to beggars. It doesn't give people a choice, an agency to decide what to eat. For instance, if somebody has a special dietary need, it will not be catered for through a food bank. And then I also wanted to comment on the issue of the causes of informality, and I must respectfully disagree with the view from that we heard earlier from the presenter from the ministry. It's not about people's inability or prevention to register businesses. We have a dual economic system in this country, which comprises of two economies, as we heard earlier, a small and shrinking formal sector, and the omnipresent and growing informal economy. So we do not have an industrial base. Our economy is import dependent. We are not even able to produce our own toothpaste or toothpicks. We export our natural resources in raw form most of the time. So thus we need to structurally transform the nature of our economy to ensure sustainable job creation and to move towards one Namibian economy that we had already from Comrade Kavituwa earlier. And I just wanted also to conclude, maybe if I don't get a chance to speak the next time, to say that I do think that I'm making a sincere appeal to the government, Ministry of Poverty Alleviation, or through the Ministry of Poverty Alleviation, and maybe also the Social Security Commission. And perhaps, in fact, we might need to consider the name Social Security Commission, given the issues we are discussing. Should it not rather be Social Protection Commission? It might be more appropriate, just a thought. But going back to the proposal I would like to raise is it would be useful if the ministry can organize a platform where we can exchange views or perspectives or experiences on domestic resource mobilization for sustainable social protection. I'm sure the FES, hopefully, will be happy to support such a process, and this could be preceded by a concept or policy paper which would be the basis for discussion at the conference of Collegium. Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. And thank you to all the presenters. My question, okay, now I have to make my questions to one, unfortunately. And it's also directed to Ms. Ibenga. Once again, Namibia, we are so good at presenting our best policies, and we paint a very good, positive picture. And then we don't give information on the reality, what is happening, practical. We don't. In your presentation, Ms. Ibenga, some of these policies and programs, they focused on special population in the country. You know, those, like it was said so by Mr. You painted a very nice picture, or a good picture. However, so far we have completely excluded young people. Even in the picture that you painted today, the statistics that you gave, Namibia is a youthful population. Majority of Namibians are young people. And most of these policies and programs do not always benefit a young person who's not disabled, who's not perhaps even orphaned or is orphaned, a person that doesn't have any ailment or who's not a veteran, an unemployed young person who has nothing else to fall on, even through the different economic activities that they're trying to survive. Now, my question to you is the ministry really considering to bring some of these a policy that's really trying to get young people out of poverty. We know they are there. For me, this is what you presented today. The statistics, unemployment for a young person between the age of 15 and 19 is almost 80%. That is somebody who's supposed to be in school. So obviously, clearly, because they're not in school and they are out of that, so it means 80%. Now imagine as somebody who's 16 years old, who is unemployed, and yet when it comes to some of the social protection or benefits, they are excluded. What is your ministry doing about that?
Thank you. Goes to the Secretary General of Chukuna. Listening to you about the informal economy, your concentration was on the employed workers in the informal economy. Why did you leave the other component of the workers in the informal economy, the self-employed? Number two, as a trade union who's supposed to be wholly representing workers, regardless of their status, what would you tell us your role you've played in making sure that the informal workers in Namibia are part of the trade union movement? To Madam from the Ministry, I'm speaking to you as a worker in the informal economy. I'm a market trader. And I've been trading in the informal economy for the past 22 years, having worked in the mines for 12 years, and having been retrenched after the privatization in my country in 2000. So from 2000 to date, I've never worked in the formal environment. Can you clearly clarify your definition of the informal economy? Because if I quoted you right, your definition read as those who are neither taxed or regulated by any form of government. My question is, where do you put the levies, those in the markets pay? Are those not taxed? And any other money that these informal workers pay to the local authority? Number two, seeing your programs, which you referred to as programs for the informal economy, I'm totally confused because I'm seeing informal workers being moved away from the category of workers into another category where they should be getting grants, free things, as indicated. Why can't you put informal workers as workers and enjoy the same workers' rights as workers? Thank you.
Or does it, okay, my question is going like, does this amount cover children with disability or not? Or does children with disability fall under the child rate, the 250? Because they say what? Something where we find the child is disabled, and this child lost both parents or one parent. Now, does the child get the grant, the 250 or just 250? And the other question is, do your office consider parents with children with severe disability? Say, for instance, I'm a mother, first year I work in the informal sector. The second year, I get the child, or my child get the disability where it's severe, I need to give the child 24 hours. Do your office maybe consider to accommodate this parent to get something? As now, this parent won't go and look for a job. Otherwise, they must go someone else again to take care of the child where they can afford it. Thank you.
My question goes to Salome. It's regarding different social protection programs that are developed in Namibia, being implemented by different institutions and organizations and the ministries. My question is, in terms of municipal poverty, how do you coordinate and harmonize the social plans for them to be able to tackle the really needed society of Namibia?
This country has been mostly led through cabinet directives. Most of the things are not passed in parliament and became laws. It's cabinet directives, and that's why sometimes me as a member of parliament, I will only see it is a directive coming from Minister of Education, Minister of what, and we never pass that thing in the cabinet, in parliament. So my first question, maybe Salome, the 13,000 paternity leave for us women, honestly speaking, give us a choice. You cannot, for somebody who earns 30,000 per month, to go on maternity leave and get the 13,000. It is ridiculous, and that's why women don't want to go to the maternity ward anymore. It's either you take your vacational leave or you take the 13,000, and it is not worth it. So you will sit with a lot of debts at the end of the day because you are not addressing the issue of maternity leave, which is 3 months. So look into this one. Let it be a choice. If I want to contribute more so that I can get better when I'm maternity leave, that can come in. And my second concern is the school feeding program. As a teacher by profession, the Secretary of Tun was right. I was teaching at the school, 1,200 learners. Only 32 learners were benefiting from this feeding program. It is not for all the learners. So we cannot come and brag today and say we have the feeding scheme there, but you know it's only 30 learners at the school who are benefiting from it. And it is another way of discriminating. Because these 30 learners who must actually go for their porridge, they don't want to go because the others are laughing at them, they are poor, they are what. Just give the porridge to everybody who wants the porridge. This is how the colonial masters have done it. Give it to all of us, whether you are poor, rich, or whatever, we just enjoy the porridge. And then my last concern is the $50 per child. You know, as I said previously, I will never shut up on this one. If somebody who is on pension, you are a pensioner, you got 1,200, you are getting veterans money of 2,200, and then you are getting a salary because all the old people are still working of 60,000 per month, and then you are coming and claiming 250 is enough for a child. 250 is a joke, honestly speaking, and we have to put our heads together and say, if you are still working, you must not buy and not get on the list of getting veteran money or even this monthly pension fund, because this is the way that other people cannot benefit because of selfish people like some of us. Thank you very much.
Two questions. The one is on charcoal producers and the labor relations that is taking place there. And the second one is social protection for refugees in a given country. Now, on the first one, charcoal production takes place by a certain farmer requesting a contractor to clear the farm for improvement of grazing, and then they can use the material for charcoal production. He can either employ a contractor that is going to employ subcontractors, or he can directly employ laborers, the subcontractors. Now, for the subcontractors who are laborers, they do not enjoy social protection because they are considered to be contractors in their own rights. But it's the same relationship, I think, that exists between the taxi driver and the owner of the taxi. I think that will be answered through that line as well. Now, on the refugees, we have got two regimes that is governing refugees in countries. The one is the camp-based, like the case of Namibia, or Syria camp in Botswana, the Windhoek camp, and then you have got another regime that is the free movement of refugees across the land, like in South Africa or Angola. So I just wanted to know whether there is, in this case of refugees, social protection went out either in the United Nations grants that is provided to manage the refugees camp, or what is happening there? Thank you very much.
The issues of the own account workers, where they own businesses. Now I have deliberately went to collect my notes so that I can check whether in my notes I have excluded them. But I want to read it directly. I said that Tukna, we have identified 3 responses. 1 is the regulations, 2 is the protections, 3 is the promotion. Under regulations, I put a sentence that says, for the regulations, we need appropriate regulations for both enterprises and employment. I think the enterprises cover the issues of own accounts. So we are not discriminating around it. And if you go to the third one, we talk about promotions. We identify the issues of access to capital, the marketing skills, infrastructures, the renting issues that was there. I think that one of the speakers talked about it. I think the vice president. You know, we talk about renting issues, but the law is there to establish a renting board. But they're running away to establish those renting board, and then they come and talk about the rent is expensive. The same person. So it's very important that we need to, so on that one, we are talking about it and we don't discriminate. Because there is always a very thin line. If you consider on that thin line, we might disadvantage one or the other. The other one is the trade unions and the roles in organizing the informal sector. I request the acting SD of the informal union to stand up. Nindau stands for Namibia Informal, Domestic and Allied Workers Union. And its formation was facilitated by Tukna through a Congress resolution of Tukna, which means it is close to our heart. With me, I came with the Secretary General of also Indian Workers Union, Victor Stella, organizing in the supermarkets. In my presentation, I said that those people that are working in the supermarket are informal. With me, the Secretary General of Football Players Union, where is it? Also, are the football players, especially in the pre-mature league like ours, Namibia, informal or not informal? Are they contractor or contractor? We are still debating that. So I'm mentioning this, and also with us, there is also the president of Taxi Union of Namibia. Well, you could see now. Therefore, as the issues of organizing informal sector, whether on own account or as an employee, it is close to the heart of the organization called Trade Union Congress of Namibia. Then you went further, the issues of demarcating, separating workers, this from others. I think in the video, I made it clear that we are moving to one economy, one worker, one benefit. There should never be discrimination. That is what we're moving towards. The other one is the issues of maternity. I think that you touched that very good. We have to look at it. And I think that the question was directed to a wrong person. I think that tomorrow, Olka, from Social Security, can you also respond to that? You are the right person to respond to that maternity and ceilings and all kind of things. Plus paternity. The other one is the contract. Contractors versus workers, labor. The issues of the so-called workers and all. I think that in the labor head we have picked it up in the labor circle. We pick it up that there is a deficiency somewhere in the law, and we are trying to close those nuts so that it can be nicely tied up. because they are now using that to bypass many things. Government is using that to expand the security, employers using that to run away from their responsibility. Then the last one is the migrant workers. I think that I don't know, refugees. I don't know whether you were, is that right word? Maybe you wanted to talk about refugees, or maybe the migrant workers and something. But I want to mention also migrant workers, yes, as a trade union movement, it is enjoying our attention. And now at the SANDC level, we are even discussing the portabilities of social protections. If workers have been working here in agriculture or in mining or whatsoever, and you have reached your 60, now you want to migrate back home, Zim or Zambia or somewhere. What about what I contributed to social security here? Why am I not taking it along so that it can continue benefiting them? So this is a drive that we are trying to drive and is on top of the agendas. So with this view, thank you very much.
I think most of the questions that have been asked, I think we could have done justice if we could have allowed a presentation on the proposed social protection policy framework. Because most of the things that are being questioned, we have tried and addressed them in the proposed social protection framework. And I think maybe if time allows, assuming that we are going to have the same audience that we have today, we might need to adjust maybe our program so that we give the time for a presentation on the social protection policy framework. Because issues of youth unemployment, issues of women empowerment, issues of parents that are taking care, so we call it caretaker grants, they have been tried to be addressed in the social protection policy. Issues of maternity leave, we have proposed in the policy, social protection policy framework that maternity leave should be extended even for a period longer. And in addition to a full coverage of salary. So a patient should not be disadvantaged or be punished when she's giving birth. That is the time when she even needs income, but that is the time that the income is being taken away. That's why most of the ladies, when they go to give birth, they most of the time have to forgo their days and just take annual vacation leave, in addition perhaps to an adjustment by the doctor to give him to give her sick leave. So, Mr. Chivikwa, I really maybe humble request you, if time allows, for us, we have a presentation already because we are doing consultation with various stakeholders. We are planning to go to almost everybody so that we make sure we cover everything that we need to cover so that when the policy is passed or the policy is adopted, we are not going to propose changes to the policy. So I don't know, but it's something that I'm submitting for consideration. Just like maybe I can attend to some of the questions, but with that, having said what I've said, it's really up to the organizer, us, including ourselves, because we are also hosting, so that we can maybe, because the presentation is ready. Tony is here with us. The drafting or the development of the social protection policy have been done with the assistance of the EU, SPS, so it's the European Union Social Protection System. They have sponsored a consultant for us who is helping us to implement a roadmap that we have developed. There is a social protection core team that have been established through our ministry, and it comprises of different players whose institution have a mandate or a stake in a social protection. That core team has developed a roadmap for which the development of the policy framework is being developed. So maybe to answer some of the questions that have been raised, I will start off with the food bank. I think the way people perceive food bank, I don't know. I think it's a matter of a mindset also, because the implementation of food bank, it was done based on the need that was realized from what is happening on the ground. Because we have people that were going to bed hungry, and we have evidence because we have carried out an assessment on the implementation of a food bank. It was done by the Department of Social Science at the University of Namibia. We contracted them to do a study on how effective or how helpful is the food bank. And the results are there. What we don't understand is that when we give this food, instead of giving money, so we are giving food in essence that when we give people food, they will be able to free a certain amount of income that we're supposed to spend on food, and then they will free it to meet other needs of the household. So that's why I don't want to see food bank as in just distribution of food. We are trying to free income so that what they have can also be spent on other things that is not being given. So the same way people are looking at food bank is the same way other people are looking at the proposal for the basic income grant. Because earlier I said, if you were in a situation that these people find themselves in, you would not be talking the way you are talking. Because imagine somebody going to bed hungry because there is no food, while us that are working, we are throwing even food in the bins. But there is somebody out there, even your neighbor, is going to bed hungry, but you are throwing food in the bins. So these are the motives, and when we talk, I think these are the things that we should think deeper. So food bank is a complement to the government food program that is being given, being given to the rural areas, the food emergency, like I've indicated earlier. So it's to complement that program, because there was then a gap. So what we are trying to do is to close the gaps that exist. And there were also proposals that perhaps we need to organize platforms where we can have discussion on resource mobilization. We welcome that, and we take note. You can just contact our ministry, and then we can see how we can collaborate, because even the problem that we are sitting with now, Treasury is at us. They are saying physical space is just not there, but we want to cover everybody. So resource mobilization is a very important aspect to us, and therefore you are welcome, my sister, so that we can see how we can mobilize resources for funding. And I think the issue of the focus of programs excluding youth, I don't know what we are trying to say here, because in the presentation that I made, I have indicated how youth enrollment in vocational trainings are being addressed. And it's from that perspective that if we invest in skill development and vocational trainings, then we would be able to reduce unemployment, because those youth, they will be able to have skill, they acquire skill, and then they will be able to even open up their own businesses. And the proposal that we are making in the social protection policy framework is that in addition to the training that we are providing, we need to provide them with startup capital, so that once they have finished with the training, they can then be able to start their small businesses and even assist other youth. So that's how we are trying to address it. The other one was on The other one, I think, was on the definition of the informal sector. I think the speaker have only looked at a part of the definition that I gave, but there is a second part to that where it indicated that the informality, well, maybe I can go to the slide. Oh, but this thing is off. But maybe let me just have it. I think I have the print out for the definition. Where I have indicated that informality can also be seen from a perspective of individuals as comprising of those employed or self-employed that have no proper contracts according to labor laws. They lack social securities, medical aids, decent wages, and safe working conditions. So that was an extension of the definition that I gave first, the one on enterprises. Okay, on the child disability, whether it's falling in the category of the 1,250 or in the category of 250, for child disability, from the age of 0 to 16, they fall under the child grant. So they are only subject to a 250. But even us from our side, we were arguing to say the need of this person is more at the earlier stage of development than when that person is older. But this is what the Ministry of Gender, because disability for that age does not fall under the Ministry of Poverty Eradication. We only kick in from the age of 16. So when a person attains the age of 16 to 59, because that is the cutoff, because then automatically the person will qualify for the old age grant. So we only consider from 16 to 59. So that is when they will fall in the category of to qualify for the grant on disability. Otherwise, from the earlier age to the late 16, so they fall under Ministry of Labor. And in the proposed social protection framework, we are saying development of, or in the development or in the social protection policy, there is an area for the implementation of a single registry. And this one is then going to harmonize the social safety net program so that at least we are able to say, so if you are getting a veteran fund or veteran grant, for example, you should not perhaps maybe benefit from other grants so that we can break that gap of the people that are not covered. Because you now currently have people who is a veteran, is benefiting from old age, or maybe it's because the person is disabled, is also benefiting from the disability grant, and is maybe a retired public servant, is despite all this, is also getting a pension from GIPF. So we are saying that we need to consider most of these things, and those proposals are standing in the social protection policy framework that we are developing. Maternity, I think I have touched on it. The school feeding programs, the social protection policy animal that we are talking about, again, is trying to cover this so that we make it universal. Even for the child grant, we have made a proposal that it's even going to cost us more if we are to target. So therefore, in the social protection policy, we are proposing that the child grant should be universal. But again, Tate Kale is going to hit us on this one. That's why as private sector, we also need them to come in so that it's not only initiative by government. Private sector, they also need to come in so that they can meet the government halfway, and we should be able to fund these programs, and then we become more inclusive. What else did I leave? I think all in all, that's all what I can say for now. But if we want, and if we really see that there's a need, we as a ministry, we are ready to do a presentation on the proposals that we are making on the development, or rather in the developed draft policy framework that we have. With that long speech, I thank you.
The issue of refugees, Mr. Muya is here. I think he can be able maybe to help you on the bilateral also. Namibia still needs to ratify the SADC protocol on employment. And there is an issue of migrant labor also addressed there. So I think the trade unions don't really want to deal with the issue of migration. I don't know what it is that they are shying away from. The other issue is on organization of informal workers by associations that are organically emerging. Whilst trade unions are redevising strategies to organize in the informal sector, I think they also need to have, or to start to have, a conversation with such associations. My brother there from Zambia, who just asked that question earlier, we attended a meeting together some time ago, and this sentiment that is coming out is that they need to start to speak together because they have a common issue they need to also deal with, besides the other politics that entities always have. The other one is my friend from the Ministry of Poverty actually already confirmed my position, which I highlighted earlier during the presentation, to say there is always an issue of funding. You know, this social protection, who is going to fund it? Where are we going to get the money from? Is there political will to dedicate a particular percentage of the GDP to fund this social protection? And how is it going to be operationalized? I think this is really a debate we need to have, which should not end here. And the last one is the issue of contributions to social security. I think where we are missing the bus is when those that are operating as informal economy operators and workers are saying that we want to also contribute, but we only have this much. What is it that can be done? I think that's a question that needs to be answered and be engaged, because it is not really about them not wanting to contribute. They want to contribute, but there should be a very good modality to contribute, for them to be able to contribute. So I think these are the really main issues that comes out of the last session that are of pertinence to me. Thank you.